So now we're recording but not recording. We are live on YouTube. We are...
so our video feeds are live in your picture, I guess, or...
Yep, there it goes.
Yep.
Phone's over there buzzing.
Booyah. And then I need to tweet this out that we are live.
We are live on the YouTube. Huh?
That's right.
Correct. There it is.
All
Let's
right.
see, at Reid.
I actually got y'all's YouTube page pulled up right. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Sweet. And Sydney's actually sitting right over a couple feet away from me.
Oh, man. Is she going to heckle? Tell her we need her to heckle. Hey, Sydney. Can she hear
I
us?
said, hey, Sydney.
There she is. Oh, that's
awesome.
I love it. I love it.
And yeah, so I've got Sydney over just a couple feet away. I've got my friend James. James Bigford. He ran in the K&N West. So
Oh, cool.
If you guys want to give him any crap about how the West is worse than the East, feel free to, and I'll relay the message.
You know what? We'll leave that to you. There's a show note: West versus East.
You know what's ironic? Who was it? Was it Parker Kligerman that talked this week about how the West guys were so good, but their cars were maybe less refined? So it's interesting when the two collide at Iowa. That's one of the collaboration tracks.
This year at Iowa was really weird because the West guys did exceptionally well for how they usually do at Iowa. But you got Todd Gilliland and that whole crew, that whole team. They've pretty much got cup cars in the field, so it's cool to race with them. But
Gotcha.
I mean, cool to race behind them.
All right. Well, that's an interesting perspective. So we get lots of perspectives. 'Cause not being racers ourselves, we kind of have to just sort of we listen to what we hear, and sometimes we repeat it, and sometimes it's not necessarily correct.
Yeah,
I can give you a pretty good insight on what it's like to be a mid-pack K&N driver. It's fun. It's fantastic. So.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it. Well, let's see. Actually, I need to get a sound check. Let's do that. I have to bring up the thing that does sound. We're a ragtag two-man show here, and Sherwin does all of the outreach, and I do all of the IT. So, there's times where it's a whole ish show, as we call it.
It can be at times.
Yeah, but it all comes together, So.
Yeah, so when you do your sound check, don't yell into your mic, because that's one of the things I think we discovered in the past. It's particularly for me. I'm coaching myself.
I was going to say, Sherwin.
It's because I'll go back here and get away from the mic, and it doesn't, nobody can hear what I'm saying. I think I've gotten better at keeping it in my face.
Yeah. So
I think my sound should be good. I've got a compressor on with my preamp. So
oh man, compressor and preamp. You're
I've
even
got
more
some
fancy
pretty
than we are
high-tech
here.
stuff.
So are you wearing a headset? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I've got a headset on.
Okay, so mic proximity is not going to be a problem at all.
Yeah.
It'll stay the same.
Well, actually, no. Well, no, I don't have a headset. I've got headphones, and I've got the microphone, right? So, yeah, mic proximity might be a little weird if I get too ADHD and start bouncing around, but we'll be fine.
Look, squirrel.
Yeah, right?
No, that's literally me. You don't even understand.
I do. I sit next to Sherwin most days. Yeah. I do. No, so Sherwin, I will. I think it worked out well to swap the intro stuff, like do our normal hooting and hollering, and then go in and Patreon stuff.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So I'll do that again, and then unless I forget, in which case I won't do that again. But it was a happy mistake, like one of those happy little trees that Bob Ross does.
Some happy trees.
That's right. All right. Are we ready to go live? Or actually start recording? We are live.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're recording video, we're just not audio yet.
Yeah. Reid, are you ready?
I'm ready, Freddy.
I know we sound a little weird now. We go into character or whatever, and then it starts going off the rails. So here goes nothing. Let's see. Let me make sure I have this turned up. That looks good. Volume level good. And we're recording now. Welcome, yo! That's That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 110. It's Tuesday, August 15, 2017. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joining the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, pretty excited about this beverage we got here. I paid way too much attention to it during the intro there, or the lead-in.
Yeah. Well, we got good beverages. We got good guests. Before you get to those, let's talk about our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by y'all. That's right. Y'all go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the What You Drinking Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie, y'all. Best part is every cent in 2017, we're donating that to sponsored drivers. Join the PETM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show, it's brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. That's Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, Harry Bolzania, Mark Wiley, Greg Smulders, Lori Sutton. I have too much fun with that name. Lori Sutton, Mick Rose, Robert Keppinger, Tony Saul, Kobe McClain, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Marion Levesque, Patrick Cleary, and Jeff Brown. So let's do this. How about that, Sherwin?
Yeah. How fast do you think that is for the folks that listen on that 1.5 life hack times playback that Night Brian told us about?
Well, maybe they'll need to tell us. You know, they got
to back that down a minute so everybody can actually hear their name.
Yeah, right. Hey, I was on the thing. You just gotta listen to it real fast. Anyway, it's a Bristol Preview show, is what we're going to call this one. Sherwin.
Basically,
how about that? Yeah, we got that coming up. There's so much in the bottle right now, and as soon as we pop that top, this podcast is off the rails. So
pretty much.
We'll pop it. We'll start by popping it.
Don't shake it up. For sure.
We'll start by popping it this way. Tonight's guest, Sherwin, 21-year-old driver in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. He started racing at age 8. What were you doing at age 8?
I think I was getting fitted for glasses.
I think I was having tea parties.
I think
with
was that when we learned multiplication and stuff?
He at age 8 in the Bandoleras. He's continued up through Outlaws, Legends, Late Model Series. He's on Twitter at Reid Wilson 66. It is Reid Wilson. What's up, dude?
How you guys doing? How's everybody doing listening in today? I'm sure I've got hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of people listening in right now. Just can't wait to hear Reid Wilson.
If not, you should.
Across about 4,700 countries across the globe. There's 16 trillion people listening. It's
for sure.
We're
broadcasting at 900 million watts, so we're good.
We're good to go. Well, how's it going, Reid? How have you been lately? What's going on in the world of Reid Wilson right now?
You know, it's going pretty slow, honestly. We ran Iowa a few weeks ago, and so we're kind of just taking a break, trying to see if we can make some deals towards trucks, maybe soon. Hopefully Martinsville. You know, I've got to do a short track to get my license right, but hopefully that'll go well. If not, then we've got next year, and I'm sure we've got our K&N car looking to get a little better, get a little faster everywhere we go. But I'm excited for the future.
Excellent. So we warned you about this, and you were warned also from somebody else. We'll get to that in a minute. But we always start this thing off the same way. What you drinking tonight, Reid?
I'm actually taking it pretty light with the Michelob Ultra. Kind of basic, but I'm on a diet.
Watching his figure?
Do what?
Watching his figure. I'm digging it.
Yeah, watching my figure, exactly. Well, one thing about NASCAR is they through tech they weigh the cars without the driver in them. So if you weigh 180, but one kid weighs 140, you got 40 pounds extra. I can't deal with that. I've got to drop down to at least 150.
Well, 150 might have been about 4th grade for me. So
yeah, and you got to trade the beer gut for a chunk of tungsten in the frame rails.
Yeah. Me and Sherwin have done those little go-kart things, and I tell you what, those 12-year-olds at 90 pounds soaking wet, they're flying right by us.
They can make them hop. Remember they said you got to make it hop to turn. There's no hopping while me sitting.
I ain't hopped since 3rd grade. Sherwin, what in the world are we drinking on?
Well, so I'll start with when I got here in this glass bottle, which is, Sierra Nevada's already released their Oktoberfest 2017. That's kind of fun. It's kind of a misnomer that Oktoberfest is in October because reality is the festival in Germany is in September. So you have to release your beer in August, clearly. The other thing we've got is I tried to get specific to the weekly race. I could not find a Tennessee beer, so I got a Tennessee whiskey. George Dickel, well-respected Tennessee sour mash whiskey. We got some, what is this, Fever Tree, special retardedly expensive ginger beer. That's not the right word to use. So we've got some Tennessee mules.
Tennessee mule. I'm digging.
In
I'm
the mule
digging.
glasses.
Yeah, in these copper mule glasses. I love it. So have you? So you turned 21, Reid, back in what, May, right?
Yep, May 30th.
Has it just been a blur since then?
No, honestly, this is a true story. As a kid, I didn't know what an alcoholic was. I told people that I wanted to grow up to be one, and I that was when I was a kid. I don't condone that at all. I have not lived up to those standards, unfortunately. I'm not a big drinker, honestly. I can have a couple beers, but then I get sick before I get drunk. So it's really not as fun as I thought it'd be.
I got you.
Understood.
Understood. Yeah.
That's that's better.
It's probably
in reality.
Yeah. I'd probably weigh 150 pounds. Sherwin, it's episode number 110. Like, not only are we in triple digits, but now we're in like the double digits of the triple digits. We got triple doubles going.
We're more than 2 months into year number 3 of doing the show.
Crazy.
That's pretty fun.
I don't know what to say other than driver number 10 or car number 10. A lot of people to talk about here. Last week was Awesome Bill in the number 9. This week we got another Bill Champion. How about that name? Huh?
I actually know a guy named Bill Champion that I worked with.
No kidding.
Like, I saw him yesterday.
Well, Bill, if you're listening in,
weird.
Good to see you. 243 races in the 10 car from the early 50s through the 70s. Consistently ran well at Middle Georgia Raceway in Byron, Georgia. Byron, Georgia. We'll have to take our hats off first. Passed away in 1991.
Goodness.
But there's another number 10. Who do you think of when you think of number 10, Sherwin?
Maybe the Rooster?
The Tide Ride, buddy. Well, guess what? Bill Champion, Ricky Rudd's uncle. How about that? So taking our hats off to Ricky Rudd's uncle, Bill Champion. And, second person on there, Ricky Rudd. Like a cheers and all kinds of stuff. Ricky Rudd, 196 races, 6 wins in that number 10 Tide Ride. Mr. Consistency, second in total races ran next to Richard Petty with 906. And if you recall, back in 2015, Jeff Gordon passed somebody for the most consecutive starts, and that was Ricky Rudd.
That was the Rooster.
With 788. So the Tide Ride, the whole deal. Were you ever a Ricky Rudd fan there, Mr. Reid?
That was before I was born.
That'll happen sometimes.
You know,
I've watched a lot of history of NASCAR. Obviously, that's kind of aiming to be my job. So you got to get used to that. In tune with your history. But I really liked Ricky Rudd. I liked his driving style. I liked his personality.
You know, there's people who blame other people for being young. Oh, I can't believe he's young. You know, I don't blame anybody. Like, I was young. I guess people still call me young sometimes. You know, they're like, oh, you were born in the 80s, and then there's, oh, you were born in the 90s.
We get called that all the time on Twitter. Oh, you whippersnapper? And it's like, well, I mean.
Jeez, when you were my age, you were calling other people whippersnapper. Like, what's going on here? But you know what it is for me? I just forget. I forget sometimes. Everybody's a peer to me, so I'm like, hey, you remember when the Braves won the World Series in 95? And Reed's going, well, I was born in 96, so I'm going to go with... No. But sorry about that. It's all good. But a couple more people. I mean, obviously, Danica Patrick, 177 races and everything that she has brought to the sport.
Daytona 500 pole winner.
Daytona 500 pole there.
Everything she's brought. Oh yeah. I actually didn't even think of Danica Patrick when you said 10. That's really weird.
That's funny.
She's real good at yoga and has acquitted herself quite well as a racer, in my opinion.
Yeah. Fantastic stock car driver. Fantastic. One of the best. Top tier.
Johnny Benson Jr., 136 races, 1
Ryan
win.
McGee.
Yeah. Derek.
That's a running joke with Ryan and Johnny. They look so much alike that people accused Ryan a lot when he was younger.
That's right.
Of being Johnny Benson. And he's even signed Johnny Benson's autograph.
Yeah, isn't he? Derek Cope, 106 races, 2 wins, and Greg Sachs with 9 races and 1 win.
I remember that name from some of the other driver numbers you've done.
Yep. It's what's cool now is that these drivers that keep coming back
up, popping up,
and so these people who Sherwin, one day, you're going to be in a conversation. Somebody will say Bill Champion. You'll be like, oh, yeah, Ricky Rudd's uncle, number 10 driver. And that's hopefully what people get out of the PTM podcast sometimes.
Like, what are you, some kind of savant? And I'm like, no, I got a buddy who does the...
Yeah. So, anyway, enough about other drivers. Let's talk about Reid. We got Reid on right here. Reid, tell us about that MDA muscle team. Your work as camp counselor. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I've had the MDA on my car for past 2 years. Well, actually, the MDA since 2013, I believe, maybe even before. Well, point is, I've been working with them since I was about 11 years old. The MDA, for those that don't know, it's the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So pretty much they find funding. You might know it from the Fill the Boot campaign that firefighters do, or if you go into Bojangles or Lowe's in March, I believe, they got shamrocks that you can get for $1, and they put it up on the wall.
For me, for my age group, and probably like 2 generations older than me, is the Jerry Lewis MDA telephone.
Yeah. I was going to say, I put a couple dollar bills in the local firefighters out in front of Kroger for their drive just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I thank you. Thank you very much. No, they're actually a great foundation. But yeah, when I was 11, they have an event in Charlotte called the Muscle Team event. It's kind of like a silent charity or silent auction charity event. They pair kids up with athletes, so like buddies. And one athlete actually had to cancel at the last second. My dad was in with the MDA, and he was like, "Oh, well, my kid races go-karts," so I kind of showed up in my race suit, and it took off from there. Just a couple of years ago, this was actually just my 3rd year as a counselor at their camp. They have camp like 50 different camps throughout the nation. It depends on location. You don't want someone in California to drive to North Carolina, obviously, for a summer camp, but South Carolina is where I go. My 3rd year with the same kid, Kevin Limke. It's honestly an awesome experience. It helps me more than I think it helps the kids. Kind of. Sydney actually did it this year as well, and I'm sure you guys know Sydney Lett very very well. We are NASCAR.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that it was our next question on the list here. Having to do with how exactly do we know each other? How did we get introduced?
I have no idea.
No, you're gonna get hit because I heard she might be sitting right next to you.
No, Sydney's a great girl. I met her in April, just through a couple friends in racing, and then I've been blessed with the opportunity to be on this show. She suggested it to me a couple months back, and I was like, yeah, sure, whenever they get the time. And finally, you guys found the time for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it goes both ways, man. Yeah, it goes both ways, and that's funny because I think I remember that. Were you the one that sent in the off the wall questions for that a few episodes?
What's her favorite color? I think was one of the ones I saw.
I might have. Wait, who was it for? Because I've actually done that for a lot. I actually sent that to Noah Gregson in one of his live Instagram lives.
That's damn funny.
That's real funny. I like it.
If you look into it, me and Noah have kind of a friendly rivalry going on, but like not on the track, but just like in public, I guess you could say. I asked him what his favorite track was, and was it last year? I think or the year before. He found himself out of the points at, I think it was Evergreen in K&N West. And I was like, is your favorite track Evergreen? And I was commenting that on his he's like, well, I don't know. What's your favorite track, Reid? Do you think it might be New Hampshire, turn 1 in the wall? If you look that up on YouTube, that's actually, it made, I looked into it. I like to Google myself a lot, to be honest.
I love it.
It made the top 5 wrecks of the K&N 2016 season. So that's a success all in itself. Who really cares about wins? If you make the best wrecks, that's really what the fans are there for, right?
That's it, man.
Well, some of them for sure are there for that.
I love it.
So every time we're talking to each other on Instagram or anything, he's just like, literally, if you go through my pictures on Instagram, through the comments on my pictures, he's just like, "Oh yeah, that you hit the turn 1 wall there too," or something like that. Like he gives me a lot of crap for it, but we're good friends.
So what's it like hearing Sydney's voice at the top of this show? Is it like, oh wow, that's really cool, or is it like, oh man, her again?
No, I kind of just when y'all played it, I kind of just looked over to the right. I was like, that's my girlfriend. No, it's really cool. She played at the Muscle Team event that I was talking about earlier. She played at that this year, and she actually raised $8,000 for the MDA.
Wow.
Just for live performance at like a small show that she would do. That's what she sold in the auction. And she played just a couple songs for everybody. I mean, there were people in tears. Like she, I couldn't be more proud of her. She's extremely talented.
That's fantastic. So, there's a question that I've been holding on. I'm going to say for Sherwin for like maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years or something. That I've been waiting for the right person. No, this is a serious question too, and waiting for the right person who can really break it down for us. When we go to these short track or maybe the people who haven't been to the local tracks or the local short track, local dirt track and stuff, I introduced you by saying, you've been through the Outlaws and the Legends and the late models and, your K&N Pro Series East and stuff. I don't think I've ever had anybody sit down and kind of walk through what that means, if you will. What is it like to drive a K&N Pro Series East car versus a West car versus a late model.
Yeah, Super 7 Series.
There's almost like a grab bag of words, right?
Yeah.
If you
There's
throw
so
late
many
model
different
and
disciplines.
super and legend and stock, and you put all those together, you can pull out a series out of a hat. So I don't know. I don't know the best way to walk through it, but if there's a easier way, I'd love to hear it.
I can break it down in just a simple terms for you. In most divisions that I've raced in, you turn left. That's the main goal, the main key. You want to make sure you make that left turn.
So New Hampshire, turn
New Hampshire,
one.
that was a mess up. I didn't understand the rules.
That wasn't a left turn.
Got it.
What
I was supposed to do.
10-4.
No, well, going up through the ranks, I started out in Bandolero cars, and they're kind of like a glorified go-kart, you could say. It's got like a 30 horsepower Briggs & Stratton motor with a roll cage. My first time out when I tested I think I tested when I was actually 7 years old.
Wow.
First time out, Concord Motor Speedway, quarter mile, went through turn 1 and 2. I was like, hey, I do it in the video games all the time. I'm just gonna floor it, and it'll auto brake, right? No, I don't know what I was 7. All right, so back then the walls were actually curved like a highway wall. Mm-hmm. So I just hit that sucker and went right up and flipped all the way down the backstretch. Fortunately, I haven't had too many of those incidents again. But you kind of learn with that. That's got rear suspension, so you kind of learn how to be smooth and keep your momentum up because it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. Then I went on the Legends cars, and it was all about get up and go. Like that, those things have such a good acceleration.
You know what surprised me about Legends, kind of the first time I was close up, was the amount of surface area of the tires compared to the size of the engine. Like the engine wasn't huge, and the surface area of those tires, it felt like you can just turn 90 degrees with the thing floored almost.
Yeah,
maybe not. It was impressive, is what I mean.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, they've got a pretty good tire width, but the thing is they're treaded. So they're not slicks like a cup car.
Okay.
And when it's dry, when there's no oil or anything on the track, you want as much contact patch or rubber touching the track as possible. So the treaded tires pretty much made it act like it was half the size that it really was. Another thing on top of Legends cars is it's got a solid rear axle. So it's got a lot of horsepower. It's got like 140 horsepower and it's got a lot of torque. But you've got a solid rear axle, so when you get on the gas, it doesn't turn. It doesn't want to turn like with a cup car or a stock car. it wants to the right rear will actually spin less than the left rear. That's not the case in Legends cars.
Yeah,
you've got to kind of have the wheel straight out of the corners, and then to add on to that, if it's not enough, they're extremely top heavy. It's like driving a box on wheels, kind of like a very tall box on a school bus, a miniature school bus. Let's just put it like that.
School bus.
They've got chassis roll.
Yeah. So much. And when I was starting to get out of Legends cars, the last couple of years I was in them, we actually started coil binding the right front. So if the chassis roll isn't enough, now I feel like I'm about to flip every time I go into the corner.
Wow.
So we're racing at like the quarter mile at Charlotte Motor Speedway or Atlanta, and you've got like a 75-pound spring on the right front, and you just drive it off in, hit the brakes, and then hook it to the left, and it just sits down, cuts, and you just kind of let it roll, and then you can't get on the gas until you've pretty much got the wheel straight.
Wow.
So that's the key with those. I'd say that's one of the hardest cars I've ever driven. It's a challenge in its own. It really is.
That's cool to
So
hear.
you're like Bryce Harper of first base that thing on the right front.
Yeah, you could say. No.
And you hope you don't flip like Bryce Harper did.
No,
Yeah.
I like that. That's really interesting to me. That being one of the harder disciplines, if you will, of driving is what we go out and see on a Thursday night.
Well,
or
and the
something.
Insta Torque / horsepower, like those motorcycle style motors, deliver power and
It's a
torque
Yamaha.
on the same band.
Yeah. Okay, so beyond Legend, where are we going next?
One of my last years in actually no, it was one of my first years in Legends. I did a limited late model tour. It was with the Pass series. I won that. It was great. There were 3 cars in the series.
You didn't have to say that. We were going to give you all the props, man.
Okay, there were 35 cars racing the series every single week, and we were within half a tenth everywhere we went. It was insane. Crazy stuff. We were actually setting track records. We were faster than super late models. It was nuts. No.
All 7 trillion of our people have heard it now.
Yeah, they've all heard it now.
No, but it was just a cool way to kind of get used to stock cars. And then 2013 I moved on to Pro Cup, or it used to be called the Hooters Pro Cup Series. That's when it was really popular back in the day. But at that point it was called the X1R Pro Cup Series. It was a decent car count, about 14 cars at each race. But one cool thing about that is they were pretty much cheap K&N cars. They weren't great quality. Like it wasn't like we took them to Joe Gibbs every weekend and had them pulled down. I had a 76-year-old crew chief that used to work on Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s car. I'm working on my car. So
what's his name?
It was kind of cool. His name was Mike Herman Sr. His son actually spots
Mike
for
Herman?
Ricky Stenhouse now.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And he taught Dale Jr. how to kind of drive go-karts. He set Dale Jr.'s go-kart up. So that was pretty cool. I've got a fun story to the side on that. We'll get to that in a minute. But back to the Pro Cup. It was interesting because you had younger drivers learning how to handle those horsepower cars on short tracks, but you had older drivers like Clay Rogers, J.P. Morgan, Caleb Holman. They had so much experience, So it was cool to learn both sides. How the younger drivers were more aggressive. They make crazy moves, but most of them were just dumb. But sometimes they pay out. But then you have the veterans that know how to save their tires perfectly, know how to trail brake. I learned so much from that. And then finally I moved on. I took a break in 2015. We were putting a K&N car together, and it didn't get together in time. But 2016 started K&N series. Ended up 6th at Greenville, second race that we ran. And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna be crazy. We're gonna be crazy good. We're gonna be dominant. And then I just finished 6th everywhere else I went. Well, except for Greenville this year, I finished 5th, but then 10th. Ask me why? I don't know. I can't tell you the answer. I can, but I will not.
Top 10 machine.
Crazy.
What it comes down to.
Weird penalty
So
situation.
so what are those cars like? What's so K&N, compared to what everything else you drove?
Okay, so when I first, my first race in K&N in 2016, that was at New Smyrna. It's a pretty cool track. It's pretty fast for its size. Well banked. You got a couple different lines that you could run there. I hadn't tested the car at all before practice day, the day before the race. I hadn't even started up the car. I sat in, and that's exactly how Pro Cup went too, and that's exactly how Legends cars went, and that's exactly pretty much how Bandoleros went. That's just how I've always, I guess, been introduced to cars. It's not like, hey Reid, let's go test a couple times, show you the basics of the car, and then throughout the season, let's test here and test there, and we'll figure things out. No, it's hey Reid, get in this car. You have 2 sets of tires for the weekend, and you have 1 set to race on. Go run it, all right? And there's 35 cars, and by the way, they all spend about $40,000 every weekend. So they're pretty competitive too. That's pretty much what K&N was like. But it was my first impression of a K&N car was weird. It's a big spring car, so it kind of was like driving a boat. I'm not sure if I had the wrong setup on, but it's nice. It's smooth. It's not like a Legend car where you're throwing yourself around and on the you're not making friends with Jesus every time you go into the corner. You learn a lot with it. It's a bi-ply tire, so it's not like a radial tire like the Cup Series or Xfinity or trucks have. They're cheaper. They're cheaper that way. But so it's kind of still like a late model because it's got that softer compound and the walls of the tire flex. So there's a lot of room for forgiveness, but the tires at the same time wear out at the right pace to where if you don't manage your tires correctly, you'd be biting yourself at the end of the race. So it's kind of cool, and then you get to go to tracks like Iowa, New Hampshire, and Bristol, that teach you a whole. It's funny because that's what NASCAR calls their short tracks, right?
Yep.
Like Iowa, New Hampshire, Bristol, Richmond. I go there and I'm like, this is a super speedway. I've been on quarter miles my entire life.
I always wondered that too.
Good point.
Yeah.
Bristol is
going
definitely
like 70, 80 at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, Bristol's definitely the super speedway compared to flat quarter-mile bull rings.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
my God. You have no idea. You have no idea.
Bristol give us an idea.
All right, so we go to the Bristol Spring race. The K&N races there with the Cup and Xfinity series. We ran right after the Xfinity race, but we had practice and qualifying all on the same day as the race. It rained. Of course, it always rains at Bristol.
Don't say that. We got Bristol coming up. Me and Sherwin are going.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, you be careful there. Yeah.
But the cool thing is, if it rains, it doesn't matter how hard it rains because of how banked it is, because it's a self-cleaning track, and trust me, it is in every way. It dries extremely quickly, and that's also because it's concrete. And when they put the air tines out there, it makes it even better. So the spring race. We got our first practice rained out or something so and NASCAR was like, all right, which series is less important? Okay, K&N. All right, you guys go out first and make sure the track's all right. Oh, there's 13 people that have never been here before. It's fine. Ship it. It's cool.
Ship it.
So I had an hour to practice Bristol Motor Speedway for my first time there. Oh, and on top of that, we didn't qualify because it rained so long during the day. They're like, all right, we're going off of points. I'm like, oh, all right, I've done the first 2. I'm 4th in points. This is great. No. We haven't done enough races. We're starting from last year's points. I did 4.
Bull spit.
Yeah, you're starting 17.
Bummer.
Yeah. So that was cool, but let's go back to practice real quick.
Cool.
I go out, I do a few laps, I'm getting used to it. I realized that I was not at a regular racetrack about the 4th lap when I just kind of had a realization. Oh, I'm looking at the top left of my windshield to see left. I was looking at the top of my windshield just to look to the left. Like that's how banked it is.
Oh,
you go
yeah.
into the corner and it's like just a free fall for a good couple seconds.
Yeah.
And then you get to your apex and it imagine how much you weigh right now. Imagine that times 2. That's what it feels like. That's
too much.
That's not pretty.
Oh,
No.
it's nuts. It's insane. So it's not like it's pushing you to the right. It's just pushing you straight down. And you've got so much load on your car. It's weird. You can, there's kind of more of a fine line there. So everybody's hanging it out, like hanging the right rear out a little bit. So like when we got to the race, this is just a side note because I'm still on practice. This is a whole rant, guys.
We talking about practice?
Practice?
But when we got to the race, like everybody was hanging the rear end out, so you'd see their left fronts pinned to the bottom, and their left rear would be like 3 feet off the line. Like that's how on the edge we are. And it's nuts. And the K&N cars have no horsepower compared to like a Cup car or Xfinity car. So that's how on edge you have to be. You can't power out of the corner because you've got no power. You've just got to keep your momentum up. But okay, back to practice.
Practice?
I do like 20. I do like 50 laps total. Right rear blows coming out of turn 4. Just boom up. Well, that's great. Like as soon as I heard that sound, I've never really had a tire blow anywhere, but a couple like nothing as bad as Bristol. That's the last place you want to blow a right rear tire. As soon as I heard it, I was looking at the infield.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not where you want to be seen.
I have no idea how I gathered it up, but I did. I took it back in the pits, and so because we blew a right rear tire and we only allowed so many sets during the weekend, they're like, okay, we're gonna mock up for the end of this practice, but because you blew that right rear, now we don't have a brand new right rear to put on the car because we just used that. So let's put on the right rear from last race that has 55 laps on it, and the rest all stickers. But I promise you, Reid, it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make too much sense. If you have no grip on your right rear and you're hitting the gas out of the corner, depending on the right rear from stepping out,
carry the one with.
It seems a little like it'd be loose. No. You don't understand. It's gonna be tight. I promise. Okay, go out. And they're like, all right, first corner, just drive it off in there like no other. Just to scuff the tires. Just straight sideways. I'm like, guys, this isn't. No. The tires are coming in. They're gonna be fine. All right, go into 3 and 4 the same way. It's gonna be good. Do it the same. I'm like, guys, this is bad. I can't. I'm not lying when I say this. I stopped breathing. I stopped breathing in the middle of the. And on top of that, there was the load that pushes down on you. So I literally exhaled all the air in my body when I got to the middle of the corner because I saw God. And then I had all that load on my body. I couldn't get my air back. So I do the rest of turn 4 on my mock run without any air. Like I'm about to pass out.
I think we've heard Cup drivers describe it as like when they're doing qualifying runs, they don't breathe.
Yeah,
they don't breathe. I mean, you got to get like one breath in right at right
off you
on
go.
The straightaway, and then off you go, and then face a God, and then.
That's pretty much it.
I blanked out. How fast did we go?
yeah.
No, but to shorten it all up, because I'm going on and on about this. The race was horrible. We started 17th, and like I said, K&N cars are underpowered, so it's like racing a mile track. For a Cup car, the aero comes into play so much, so you're already back there in dirty air. I think there were like 30 cars or 30, I don't know, but it was the worst experience of my life. They would literally they'd key up and they'd be like, Reid, how's your car? And it's like lap 15, and I was so overwhelmed and just so done with the deal. I just key back up, going down the next straightaway and just. and
I
just
love
dive
it.
back into the corner, just button. Ah!
I love
And then
that. I love that.
There's like no time to communicate.
Does that answer your question?
I hope it does. I hope it does.
Oh no. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What are you feeling, Reid?
Ah!
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And on top of that, they said they swore, hey, the highline's gonna work. It's gonna come in. The tires are gonna break in. They're gonna wear out. That highline's gonna work. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great if they didn't put whatever. What's the name of that stuff that they put
boogers is the name of it. Boogers.
Yeah, we call it boogers.
Sure. Yeah, black boogers, whatever you want to call them, man. But they messed the whole thing up for me. All right. So I'm sitting there running the top line, like sideways the entire corner, like you should not be putting any wheel to the right at Bristol. All right. And Harrison Burton just comes by me, lapping me on like lap 45, just like, oh, what's up, man? How you doing? Like I promise you, he was texting. He was texting while driving. He was just chilling. And
like y'all were at Eldora or something. Just, hey, what's up, dude?
That's exactly what mine was like. And he's just chilling there like he's at Daytona, one hand on the wheel, just oh, you're lapped down now? Oh, no.
He's having a Coca-Cola.
Yeah, bummer for you, dude.
So we got to the halfway break and it starts to rain, and they pull the pace car off, and I mean it's raining, like I can't see anything on my windshield, and they're like this is stuff that they would do in go-karts. They're like, it's fine, you guys are gonna dry off the track. This is NASCAR, and they're literally considering going green at Bristol Motor Speedway with 30 kids.
I love it.
Oh,
That's 30 kids.
That's funny. That aspect of it is very funny.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
But they pulled us off. They pulled us off, and my team was like, Reid, stay in the car. Oh, on top of that, there was a wreck where somebody spun out at the beginning of the race. This is why I got lapped. Somebody spun out at the beginning of the race, and they like moved. They rolled up the track, and everyone was like, oh, we're at Bristol. This is scary, and they just hit the brakes. I pretty much had a brick wall for the rest of the race on my nose, and my left rear was a parachute because someone drove in under me. I'm done. I'm done with the rant.
It's Bristol, baby.
It's Bristol, baby. Yeah. All right, we can go on to the next thing.
What is the next? I don't even know.
I love it. No, you know what? In the pre-show,
that was a hell of a monologue.
I love
actually.
It. That's fantastic. That's what we're here for. You know, this is why we're here. This is why we're doing. We don't
want the interview you're going to give like Charlotte FM radio.
Yeah. Well,
serious. We
had a good day. We're bringing a good car. Things are going great. I have a lot of optimism for this race, and we're going to do our best. And I'd like to thank the sponsor. Yeah, I'd rather hear that.
I'll give you the rundown of those interviews. Great car, great effort. We didn't have the day we wanted, but like I said, great team, great car, bad execution. And I'd like to thank True North, Chevy, MDA, Cheerwine, everybody else on my car. I can't remember the names yet.
Potato rounds. You got to get them potato rounds in there.
Potato. Exactly. But
I love it.
Actually, that's what happened at Bristol after the race, because they called it halfway because it started raining, and I'm usually not one, like I used to throw temper tantrums when I was like 14. I was like, I'm a Star Legends driver. You can't do this to me.
That's awesome.
No. I've pretty much made it at this point, guys. No.
This series exists because of me.
Yeah. That was pretty much that was 14-year-old me, but I had kind of an episode like that at Bristol, and Sydney was there with me, and I got out of my car and I'm just like I'm so over this. On top of that, Bristol's too small in the infield to park the haulers, and I don't want to act like a spoiled driver. I've never had a hauler until K&N, and it's not even mine; it's the team's. Mm-hmm. But they parked them a mile away from the track. So it's not like I can, like in the race, it's raining. It's not like I can go in a hauler, or I'm not even allowed in the media building. They're like, no, this is for the Cup guys. Like you can't, no. You want to go to the bathroom? Go around to the back.
Oh, there's like a caste system.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but
Porta John's over there, buddy.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had a golf cart to take us that mile journey back to the haulers. So I get out of the car. I'm just whatever. I'm ready to go. Sydney's like following me, like catching my helmet and my gloves. Like, Reid, slow down. Where are you going? And I'm walking through the tunnel under the track, and I'm like, this sucks. This track sucks. This series sucks. I suck. Everything sucks. And there's these fans that, like, I didn't realize, but there's like 100,000 fans there that week. I forgot about those people. And then they were walking through the tunnel, and they like stopped, like, did that driver just say that? And I stopped. I turned around. I was like, great car, great team, great experience. Go Bristol. And I just walked
NASCAR.
onto the golf cart.
Are you in robot mode?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, with that, Sherwin.
What the hell's next on the plate?
Oh, man. I guess we just need to start tearing it down, you know?
Yeah.
Where the hell did
we hadn't
go?
even got to tearing it down.
I know. We're having a blast. This is too much fun.
is
There's
awesome.
so many more stories to be had. But tearing it down, we went to Michigan, as it turns out. Sherwin,
Irish Hills.
I was very proud of my pick of Brad Keselowski getting that, local boy. He's got the beer sponsor from the Midwest, and, he sat on the pole afterwards. I was all excited, and then so, there went that. But Kyle Larson again. What the hell?
That restart was pretty damn cool.
He was after it. Mr. Reid, how about that restart?
Wow. That was a dream. Like if I could do that. Well, I mean, I'm not saying I can't, but if I were in that position, like that's you couldn't do it any better than what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually playing Dirt to Daytona earlier, and now that's a move that it's called larcening.
Larcening,
where you come right across the nose of somebody 3 wide into turn 1 on a restart and take the lead. So that was amazing. Like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't think he had anything. He wasn't on my fantasy either. So I kind of got screwed with that. I had Brad Keselowski and I had Joey Logano to win. I'm like, Joey has to get a win. They know how important this is. No, we're going to run 20th the rest of the race after lap 30. That's fine. No, but I finished like 1300th in my fantasy. And James, my friend James Bigford, I play him in fantasy every week. Like it's tight. It's a tight points battle, and he finished like, of course, 64th with like Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, Chase Elliott, like the most simple, all the young guys. I was like, James, you can't just bank on the young guys. They're gonna make mistakes. They're new. No, of course we're all top 10 finishes. That's great, but no, back to Kyle Larson. That was an amazing finish. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Sherwin. I don't know what to say about Larson anymore, other than championship driver now.
No, he's going to win the championship.
Hello.
Whoa.
Calling it right here. I told you,
Vegas.
I told you. Yeah. I told you we're recording, didn't I, Reid? Like,
no, I'll say it again. I said it at the beginning of the year when he started picking off second.
Now that's impressive.
Second, first. Yeah. The team's got momentum. Number one, going into the chase or the playoffs. Sorry, they've got momentum. And they've got the speed. They've had the speed all year. You haven't really seen him fade away. It doesn't matter what track they're going to. He's going to be a top contender, the top 10.
Well, go ahead.
Or I was just going to say the only other driver that I could see winning the championship, really anybody can win the championship, but 4 cars can win the championship. Martin Truex Jr., because he's got racked up bonus points like no other. He could miss a race and still make the next round, pretty much. He's pretty dominant when it comes to just throughout the race. But I think Kyle Larson might be able to pull it off. And Homestead, you can run the high line, and that's Mr. Larson's best.
Absolutely, if he doesn't paint it.
There.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. I think we have 3 of Homestead's competitors already locked up.
That's a good point.
I think we have Jimmy and we have Truex and we have Larson, and we're looking to see who is going to be that 4th car and driver to step up.
Sherwin, I felt like this race was maybe one of the first times, and Reid just said it. They've got the speed, they've got the car, they've got the team and all that. This is the first time I felt like with Larson, that he made a move that is a Jimmy Johnson, a Martin Truex, a Kyle Busch move there we talked about. So
okay.
That to me was something that I went, whoa, okay. He's I'm sure he's done this a million times in his career and all that. This was the one to me that showed not only just going for it, but he was in control of the car too. He knows he's got it. He goes for it. I really liked it.
Yeah, exactly. I loved the move. I thought it was great. Obviously, it certainly was very exciting. It showed that he's got the stones to try something like that. I think we have to add in the variables of Matt Kenseth needed to win the race. Did not want to push the 77 to a win, so he held back in order to get a run. It didn't work out for him. That left a gap for Larson to close. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Kyle. I thought that was,
he closed
power
it, and that's
power it up. We've watched. We talked about this multiple times. Our allegiance is, for now and for until it's, until it doesn't make sense anymore. Our allegiance is to the guy that drives the 5 car right now. He has done some of these very similar things in restarts the last 3 times that he has won a race.
Yep.
Spread over the last 3 years. And so you have to appreciate the fact that Larson made this bold move. And he did it when he really had probably dominated races in the last year and a half.
Where he didn't.
And he'd won a couple, but he didn't win them all.
Yep.
But this one, he really wasn't, it wasn't a hands-down Kyle Larson race. But he found a way at the end to prove us that, he could do that daring thing at the end and win the race. So I think he's crossed over a bridge we didn't know was necessarily there. And now, I think, to Reid's point, championship contender, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see the team get better and better over the past few years. When Larson came in, they were a top 15 team every weekend, top 10 to top 15, and you would see he would outdrive his equipment every single week, and even last year or 2 years ago, outdrive it. He'd get down to the last 5 laps, and like you said, a race that he would lead laps in and do so well. And that also showed a little bit in the driver inexperience, but he would overdrive the car or outdrive the equipment, have something happen, put it in the wall. That was one famous thing that was starting to be, one thing that was
he was finding the wall a bunch.
Last 3 laps, Kyle Larson's going to hit the wall. But he's it's almost like that's benefited him in a way. He's learned the limits. He's learned what he can do and can't do in those final situations, and how much to save his stuff to be able to do that stuff. And that's kind of cool. And then because of his success, the team has brought on other sponsors, other partners, and just better research and more motivation for the crew, even to become a better team. So now you see them move up as a top 10 team, top 5 team last year, and now this year, just off the bat, just second place, top 5 team every week. And you could see that with Jamie Murray as well. It's all the Kyle Larson show, but if you watch Jamie McMurray, he's not outside of the top 10 very often most of the races, and so that just shows how much better the team is getting as a unit. So it's pretty cool to see how they'll be in the future too.
Yeah, their cars are very good right now. Very, very good.
Yeah, very, very, very good. I like that. Jamie McMurray, sitting in 8th place without a win. Jamie. So that was absolutely there was no vitriol spewed there at Jamie. Jamie's a great race car driver. He hadn't had an opportunity to win a lot of races, but he's been very good. He's done. I remember that year, was it 2010, where it was like his redemption year with Ganassi, where he won Charlotte and he won the Indy and he won the Daytona 500, and it was like, holy cow, who is this guy? And then he, as expected, the way they were then, he didn't really wasn't a big factor in the chase. But Chip Ganassi Racing, they're back as a contender for real. for sure. So, Reid, we got a question for you from Frank Villat at Frank Villat. He asks, he essentially asks, tell us about that number 66. You've always run that number 66. 66. Do you like it? Does the number have a story behind it? Is it like 666? Is it Satan stuff? What's the story here?
Actually, I haven't always run the 66. When I started racing Bandoleros, back when I flipped my Bandolero, the kid or family that my family bought that Bandolero from, the kid was born in 92. Mm-hmm. So it was the 92 car. And I was just like, I mean, I played football and my number was like 10 or 89, but
it's like, PTM 110, so I like the number 10 stuff.
Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway,
but so I just kept with 92 though. I stayed with that until I believe 2011. That was it. My first year at Legends, and I said that I flipped that Bandolero. I've only flipped one other time, and that was in a Legend. That was cool. It was at Hickory Motor Speedway.
Hickory.
Yeah, it was actually in practice.
Legends at Hickory.
We were racing with like Myatt Snyder, Justin Carroll. I can't remember if that was the same year. I was actually teammates with Bubba Wallace for a couple of years.
Shut the front door.
That was pretty cool. But Hickory, it was during practice. So some kid just spins out in front of me, and I'm running the outside line. Like I guarantee you, I was going to win that race that night. I'm running like 2 tenths faster than the field, and I'm passing Myatt on the inside, and that kid spins out, and Myatt, I don't know what I don't know. I like to blame him, but at the same time, who really cares now? It's like 2011. But I didn't have the inside to go to, so I had to get around the kid on the outside, and he just he never locked up the brakes and just rolled back up into me. I pretty much high-fived the flag stand and rolled down the front stretch. So that was cool.
The flag stand, I dig it.
Couple months later, the car was torn up. We actually just got rid of that car. 2011, we just got rid of that chassis. And we actually took it to a junkyard, and then we went and took it only had 3 wheels on it, but we found the 4th wheel just a couple months ago, and we took that 4th wheel to the same junkyard, and the guy that owns the junkyard's like, "Oh, this will fit my Legend car. That's perfect. It's sitting right up there on top of that school bus." And we're like, "Yeah, that's my Legend car, buddy. It'll fit great."
You can't make that stuff up.
I love it.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm hoping to rebuild it and race it someday here soon." I'm like, "Yeah, good luck with that, dude. I tore that thing up. There's no way, no." But so it was totaled. I went to Orange County later in that year. That was going to be my first race back in Legends, but we didn't have, we totaled my car, so we actually bought my crew chief's car, his house car. His name's Chris Rogers, and his team numbers were 76, 66, maybe 6, 97. 66 was like his number, so I was like, I'm just going to keep that. And when I ran that race, it was kind of like turning over a new leaf or starting a new person.
Starting a new person.
It really was, like, because I was going through some other things just in my personal life, like not personal. Like it wasn't anything crazy. I wasn't addicted to heroin. All right,
no heroin, like not having a kid, and nobody died.
Just like,
but
it was puberty. It was puberty. We'll just put it at that. Like I was trying to figure out who I was.
Call a spade a spade.
Do I want to play the trumpet? Do I want to race cars? Do I want to play soccer? I don't know. And so I finally started to figure out who I was, I guess you could say. And I decided to stop being kind of like a punk teenager and actually take my life seriously. So that was kind of why I stuck with the 66 after that race. And on top of that, it kind of gave me some good luck because they were the best Legends drivers in the world, or world country. I mean, unless you want to count the 5 and Norwegia or whatever.
Norwegian. That's awesome.
No, it's not even. It's Norwal. Whatever.
Yeah, Norwal.
Narwhals.
Yeah,
Narwhals.
Norwegia.
Norwegia.
That's the
All right,
Michelob
you know
Ultra talking is what's going on.
Mick
I live
Ultra
in
is
America, okay? I live in
over.
the USA and racing NASCAR, National Auto
Say it.
Stock Car.
Auto.
Wait.
Racing.
What part am I? I'm 2 beers in right now, man. All right, hold on. National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing.
There you
go.
You
got it.
My point. I live in America. All right. I'm a Southern boy. I'm from North Carolina. I don't know nothing about the 198 other countries out there in the world. This is my country and this is my world right here where I'm living.
Now,
right?
Tell me right now, is Sydney shaking her head or is she hitting you over the head? Which one is it?
She's a little disappointed in me.
Okay.
She just took my Michelob. She took my beer.
Oh no!
I love it.
That's damn funny.
I hear
some infighting going on back there.
Domestic. With that, you know what? Let me bring this up. We're going to go ahead and gas it up, Sherwin. Yep. There's that. We're going to. We're not going to talk about Bristol much because we're going to do a show from Bristol.
Obviously. Oh hell yeah, we are.
Yeah. So we're going to go do our thing. We're going to have our fat ass pizza. We're going to have our.
Maybe I don't know. We won't be staying in that camp.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on. I don't know what else to say. We just talked about Bristol a lot. We're going to be there. We hope to see everybody. Like everybody.
Everybody is going to be a lot bigger amount of people than it normally was.
Like there's a whole spectrum of responsibility to quote Louis C.K. there.
That we know now based on doing this show and interaction on the Twitter.
Yep.
There's like a good 50, 60 people we're going to have to run into.
Oh man, I can't wait either. That's the best part about doing this thing. Is it's not a responsibility. It is a absolute
enjoyment.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Absolute thing. So, Reid, I know you said in the pre-show you might go. What's it going to take for you to go?
Yeah,
I'm a little scarred. If I can convince Sydney to go, and probably my dad. That's what I used to do. I used to go to Bristol with my dad, and we discussed Bristol earlier. I'm sure you remember that. But I would go with my dad, for the spring and fall races, and I'd just be like, "This is insane! Like, how do these guys? This has got to be the coolest thing ever." So it was. I'm 20 minutes away from Charlotte Motor Speedway, but Bristol's one of the other closer tracks to me. So it kind of gives me that the feeling of growing up and going to that closest NASCAR track. That's kind of what it's got the feel of. So I want to go back. But I feel like if I go back and I watch the Cup race, I'm going to be like, that's where I hit the wall, and that's where he hit the wall. And I didn't actually hit the wall at Bristol. That's one of the very few tracks I haven't. But yeah,
I love it.
It'll be cool to go back though.
I love it.
So is that Papa Barry Wilson you're speaking of, your father?
Yes, sir. Barry Wilson,
right, well,
owner of Reid Wilson Racing.
I will do some legwork to see if old Barry will
old Mr.
haul you on up to Bristol.
Yeah,
to meet us
Mr. Barry's on Twitter, as it turns out. So Sherwin's going to put the pressure on.
So's Rita.
Yeah,
it turns out.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Oh,
don't dare Sherwin to.
I just actually realized I'm pretty sure my parents are listening. So everything that I've said.
Well,
wow.
So
I'm afraid to check my phone right now.
I think
you're like, Reid, why are you talking about heroin and addicts and Bristol?
Reid, I think you're off the hook because, like, while I was trying to promote you being on our show all day, I was also doing like a boob and butt gif war from the PETM handle, and then like your dad and your mom started like liking stuff and retweeting. I was like. Oh crap!
Okay. now I've got some dirt on them, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. I'll say this, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Reid was very much adamant that he is not a heroin addict. That was
without a doubt, not at all.
Right?
That's actually a good thing about racing. You grow up just it's if you really want to do it as a career, you're like, all right, I'm leaving on Thursday, going to the track. Practice Friday, race Saturday, going home and sleeping Sunday, whatever, and that's all you thought about. Like
Right.
you would go home and do iRacing or just think about the week or the next week, and it kind of separates you from other people kind of going through their high school experience, you could say. I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
on the other end, it does separate you from people in general. You have two friends, and that's how you live. That's fine though. I got by.
You know how they say it, Sherwin? It's race on Sunday, sell on Monday, heroin Tuesday, right?
Right. That's what I heard.
I mean, that's what I heard. Anyway, that brings us to our final segment, as always. Ashley J. Stang, she done sent us a question, as usual. Ashley Stang, she asked us, with the Strange with Stang here, if you could describe yourself as a type of sandwich, what would it be? Sherwin, I'm going to describe myself without comment. I'm going to describe myself as the hot dog sandwich.
Don't you dare!
I had to.
Joseph Shelton, if you listen to this, this is bullspit. This is under appeal.
Under direct. This is a cucumbered win.
This is a cucumbered sandwich.
Wait, are we describing ourselves as sandwiches? Is that
Yes.
what we're doing right now?
Yes,
that's
it's Ashley Stang. She's a wild child.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this was the question you were talking.
Yeah.
The off the wall. When I said off the wall, I meant off the wall.
Yeah, it's for sure off
So
the wall.
off the wall question deserves an off the wall answer.
Yeah,
And
what
what type of sandwich are you? I'm a hot dog. By the way.
I am going to punch you in the mouth. All right,
Now,
Sandwich.
full disclosure.
Actually, is a
hot
hot
dog-
dog a sandwich?
No!
Don't start.
Wait a
Sherwin's
minute,
going
wait
to
a
blow a
minute.
gasket.
Sandwich is items within 2 pieces of bread.
Yes!
Each side. That's a hot dog. A hot dog is a sideways sandwich.
No, sir!
No. Kick you off the podcast and everything. Point is, where that has been a hot topic of debate on the at PETM podcast Twitter handle, as it turns out, and I had to, Sherwin, I had to. She dared me. She didn't explicitly dare me, but that question was almost to me a dare to say that. So anyway, I'm a hot dog.
Damn it.
Sherwin,
Reid, am I going or is Reid going?
you
let
go.
him go last?
You go ahead and let Reid think about it for a moment.
Yeah, this is my first random question like this.
Yeah, so, all right.
have time to
I'll
think.
give you, another, 25 seconds to think about it while I
right.
gather my composure now that we've had this
Broach the hot dog
this hot dog
sandwich
situation that is not, it is not okay. But
full disclosure, the comments of Rusty do not reflect those of the PETM podcast. I totally believe that hot dog is not a sandwich. I've had a hot dog sandwich, and that's poor people. Like we didn't have hot dog buns. Like we had sandwich bread, and we put a hot dog in the sandwich bread.
I have eaten a hot dog that way.
Right, I have
That's
had a sandwich whose meat was a hot dog, but
that was not having a hot dog.
that wasn't a hot dog. That was
Yeah.
a sandwich made with hot dog meat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we've
Sherwin.
we've tweeted to the nth degree about that.
Anyway,
All right, so my sandwich is going to have to be. All right, I think it's going to have to be like white Wonder Bread, but toasted, toasted a little bit with roast.
is this a racial thing? Where
Why is this got to be about race?
you said
What
white?
They don't have. I haven't seen black bread.
Gonna barf.
I mean,
Okay,
I'm talking
all
about
right.
bread.
Before you, yes,
Black
continue.
people like white bread too.
Go ahead.
White bread matters. All right, so you toast it a little bit,
Yep.
and then you put mustard and roast beef and bacon and fresh
Okay.
tomatoes and lettuce and more mustard, and then you have to cut it to where you got 2 triangle pieces. Of
You got you got to cut it
and
diagonal.
you can put pickles on there too.
Like, is this your favorite sandwich, or is this you as a sandwich?
This is. Oh, what's the difference?
I don't know. What kind of question is this?
I don't know. It's a
Who
dumbass
gives
question.
a spit? I don't know. Point is-
Took me 58 minutes to start cussing. This is Ashley. I hope she's entertained. I need like a toasted sandwich with meat and vegetables.
It sounds delicious. That's Sherwin.
Yeah.
All right.
Put a piece of cheese in there for sure. All right, Reed, you're up. I gave you like 45 seconds. You should be
that was
totally prepared now.
That was actually enough time for me to look this up. A hot dog is a sandwich.
You liar!
This is a hang-up.
Listen.
We are gonna fist fight.
This is from USA Today. All right.
So who cares? They get it. They even get NASCAR wrong. How are you going to believe them?
Right. They're either a bunch of liberal hippie commie scum or fascist neocon.
Whoa.
I don't know which, but that's who they are.
Jeff chose to vacate his position at their.
It's a meal on the go. It's wrapped in bread. It's smeared with condiments and eaten as a patriotic alternative to, say, a hamburger. That's what they said.
No,
so
I agree with all of that.
Ain't a sandwich, neither.
But see, that's the thing. I agree with all of that, but you can't say sandwich. Anyway,
when a sandwich has a name, it is the name.
Ooh, I like
that.
Then, okay. All right.
Then a wiener sandwich.
Well, that's what she said. Yeah, I'm going to have to bleep you on that now. Anyway, Reed, what is your sandwich?
All right. What is my... I honestly haven't thought about this too much. I've been wrapped around the hot dog thing.
Nice pun.
I like it.
I wasn't a pun. All right. I'm gonna have to go with. I always go to Subway. Let me get a little intimate with this because I really enjoy this sandwich. All right.
Subs aren't sandwiches either.
Oh, look out.
My sandwich that I would prefer as myself would be a $5 footlong BLT toasted on Italian bread. So with all the bacon, lettuce, tomato. Now here's where it gets crazy. All right, you're gonna top that with black olives.
I'm digging. Sherwin might barf, but I'm in.
This is where you're gonna be like, nah. But if you try it, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. Mayonnaise. All right, that's okay.
Mayonnaise. I don't know.
Honey mustard. Add on honey mustard.
Honey mustard's good stuff.
Honey mustard is like 6-part mayonnaise to 1 part mustard. So you got mayonnaise and mayonnaise. Keep going.
Well,
I thought it was honey with mustard.
There's they look at the honey, is what I'm saying. Anyway.
Oh, I know. It's a lot of mayonnaise.
Okay.
Mainstream honey mustard.
So a footlong BLT Italian toasted with black olives, extra black olives, mayonnaise and honey mustard. That's my ideal sandwich, and with chocolate chip cookie on side.
I'm digging.
To be honest,
I'm digging.
Chocolate chip. No macadamia nut, just the chocolate chip.
Yeah, I can dig chocolate chip.
I like to keep it plain and simple with my cookies, man.
Well, with that,
I hear you.
With that bombshell, as we'll say, Reed, why don't you close us out before we? I would say before we get off the rails, but this thing's been off the rails for miles and miles.
Like a tow truck with a winch because we've been in the ditch for 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a thing. So if you're still with us right now, I mean, y'all tweet at us and tell us how wacko this has been. But anyway, close us out.
The reaction on Twitter has actually been pretty good.
You know what? In the background, I'm going to play your girlfriend. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's great. Guys, thanks a lot for having me on. Next time, just invite me whenever you can. But this has been the PETM Racing Podcast. I'm Reid Wilson, and y'all have a good night.
Look at him closing us out
Thanks,
professionally.
Reid.
Yeah.
Y'all go follow Reid at Reid, REID Wilson 66.
That's
Racing
right.
that K&N East Pro Series car.
Y'all know where to find us at PETM Podcast, PETMPodcast.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. Who knows? There's these edge case like Ello and stuff like that we might even be on that. Who knows? Go
Instagram for damn sure.
That's the Snapchat. We'll send you naked pictures and all the rest of it if that's what you need. Point is, PETM Podcast. Y'all know where to find us. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm Andrew Sherwin, pregame engineer at pregame engineer, spelled all the way out, y'all.
And y'all, we're going to be at Bristol coming up. It's going to be something else.
We're going to be there about Friday, 3:30 p.m.
We will see y'all at that point. Close us out, Sydney.
Toyota Chevy in the boards, mashing pedals to the floor. We are NASCAR, lapping, drafting, round and round. One more lap, there goes the crowd.
There it is. Reid, you still with us?
Yeah.
All right.
That was awesome.
Man, that was a blast.
Did I close out too early?
No. We
No,
like to slide it
no.
off the rails.
See, there was a thing like with the intro, and are we still on the YouTube Live?
We're on the
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
Live.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Y'all can keep that for however long. I'm chill with that because honestly I still got like hours of more stories. To be honest,
I know you
feel
do.
like-
I know you do. And so
That's
one
why
of the
we
things.
can't burn 'em
by the
all
way,
now.
yeah. By the way, I have show notes for the Dale Jr. Coach go kart story, Martinsville, the license thing, and something else. I wrote down a bunch of stuff, but I was like, well, for the sake of time, we'll wait for those for the next time.
We're a big
Yeah,
fan
exactly.
of long-winded.
Oh yeah.
It'll kind of give us a little cliffhanger or something else for people to look forward to. But no, that was awesome. Well, or what I was saying earlier, when y'all started the podcast and right there at the end, like I couldn't really like hear anything that was going on.
Oh
I
yeah.
couldn't hear. I don't know what that was, but
It was your girlfriend singing both times.
Yep. Yep.
It was a kind
We hadn't totally worked out the digital aspects of what we broadcast towards our guests versus what we broadcast towards the live feed / audio feed that we record. So sometimes it gets a little hairy.
Yeah.
because
What happens is that essentially it doesn't break the flow of the show, and so I probably should fix it, but I haven't. So
you're good.
Is what it is.
It didn't really affect too much. I was just kind of freaking out at the very beginning when you guys were doing your intro or your whole little thing before you had brought me in. I was just like, am I just supposed to? I don't know if they're talking. Hello.
Yep.
I just kind of. It's a good thing I kept my mouth shut. Or you'd have a freaked out Reid on the other end.
It's all good, man. Well, I know we kept you on probably longer than you expected and longer than we promised.
No.
So,
To be honest, I had a lot of fun. Like I wouldn't have minded if y'all kept it going till 12. Like honestly, this was like kind of laid back. It wasn't just like so formal. Like I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and sweatpants. Like I'm chilling, and I'd have to say this is probably the most memorable interview or time that I've had on the air.
excellent. We
Glad to hear it.
Well, I would say we strive
We
for
try to
that,
have fun.
but we don't we're not trying to do that. That's just how we do it. So
Yeah, this isn't so. For as far as you're concerned, Reid, this is not we write up an outline to make sure we don't wander off into La La Land.
Yeah.
But if we find a place or it just happens to pop up to where the guest gets their winder wound up and they start going, we back off and just let it go.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we want out of this. This is fan based content. We're not official media members. We're here to have fun. We're drinking, this is fun for us. This is a hobby. And so it's awesome that you were able to free flow in that space. So, I mean, it's good that we shut you off after, 70 minutes because that means we can get to do another one of these in, sometime in the fall, and we won't have burned any extraneous content.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the way that you guys flow it is really it's really good. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. And I kind of got to let loose. Like a lot of people see so many drivers as just the drivers, like just the representatives of their team, of their car, of their number, of their brand, their sponsors. That's like I was saying, great race, great team, great effort today.
Yep.
Like that's what NASCAR's missing right now. That's what racing, motorsports as a whole is missing. Is that's why you had millions of people tuning in to the Daytona 500 in early 90s because you had Dale Earnhardt saying whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Like you had personalities, and you can't tell the difference between Matt Kenseth and Denny Hamlin now. But you get what I'm saying?
Ooh. All right.
You got specific, but I know exactly what you're saying, and I think that does resonate within the garage. It resonates within the fan base. It resonates within how the media wants to approach those things. Because you're right.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Well, when I brought up Matt Kenseth and Denny Hamlin, I couldn't come up with any other names. Like I was just saying random names.
We wouldn't. I mean, we're not going to pin you to the wall on that. But like, look what happened with Brad Keselowski this week. He decided to poke a little fun at Toyota, and the way he did it is a very pet Keselowski way, is saying, "Oh yeah, we're all pretty sure that we're going to get wind tunneled after this week. So clearly, Toyota's going to sandbag and make sure we don't know how good they really are because they've been so damn good." And, Kyle Busch basically called him a dumbass, which is the same thing that Hamlin would have called him. And Brad knows all along. He's like, yeah, I don't think they're doing anything different. We just hadn't caught up. But, like, if you give me a microphone, I'm going to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's better for everybody to say stuff.
Real quick, with that, we're going to drop off the live stream here. Thank you,
YouTubers,
everybody.
You rock. Thank you so much for joining us live via video.
Yep. And anybody watching afterwards, thank you so much. This has been a blast, and I'm going to shut her down now. See y'all next time, and come see us at Bristol, y'all. Peace out.